Hola! You're here because you want to learn how to make tofu, and I'm here to show you how. It's really, really easy. You don't have to measure anything, which is great because who likes numbers anyway? It doesn't take very long. The longest time is actually just soaking the beans overnight, which requires zero effort. For all of you who got frustrated or gets frustrated by buying your packaged tofu that is in plastic, forever in plastic, and you just can't find anywhere that doesn't do it in plastic, here's how to make it. Oh, and also it tastes so much better than the stuff that you'll buy in the supermarket. So I hope you enjoy.
So a few things that you'll need is a blender or a mincer juicer, a large bowl, a very large saucepan, and some soybeans which you have soaked overnight and then thoroughly rinsed. You will also need some lactic soda crystals, 2 types of cloth. The first one is to strain the milk in, and it needs to be fairly fine. The second one you will need, that's for the actual tofu, and it needs to be semi-open weave. I use muslin cloth for this.
So if you've opted for the blender option, really easy, pop your beans in, bunch of cold water. Again, quantities don't matter in this at all. I'm not making soy milk, so it just doesn't matter how strong the beans are. Pop her in. Depending on your blender, that's probably about enough. If you're going to use a mincer or a juicer, the 2 pieces that you'll probably get is one with a mesh and another one with a solid part. I'm sure every machine looks different, but the mincer one is the one that you want to use on your first pass through the machine.
The reason for doing 2 passes through the machine is basically so you get the most out of your soybeans. Mix your soy pulp with some water. I generally just fill the bowl.
So now you want to change it to the piece with the mesh, the juicing part. And just the same as before, you grab the liquid.
You'll see now the difference between using a blender and the mincer juicer. The second pass through the machine on the juicer tends to remove most of the pulp, so you'll see there's not much left behind there. Whereas the blender option still has all of the pulp inside it, so you can see there's a lot of pulp left, which you then have to strain manually. Once you've poured all of your milk pulp mixture into the large saucepan that's been lined with the finer weave of the cloths, bring the edges together and give it a twist, working slowly down towards the bulk of the bag, applying firm pressure. You'll notice at this stage that a lot of foam is coming out. You still want the foam in there, that's all good. Get all that liquid and just keep squeezing until it gets as dry as you can get it, obviously without pushing so hard that you split your cloth. And for those of you who claim there's no milking in plant-based milks, want to know where that udder is? Well, it's right there. Head on over to your stove, pop your saucepan on, and heat it until it boils.
Okay, so while you're waiting for your soy milk to heat up, you can prep your splitting agent. I use magnesium or epsome salts. Lactic soda is another name, it's called by a few things. It's these cute little crystals here. I'm acutely aware that my hair is dangerously close to the flame right now. Okay, so you don't need a lot, just about that much. Again, I promise you there's really no measuring in this at all. Grab your kettle, And put a bit of boiling water in there. Please don't judge me by the state of my kettle, okay? There we go. What did I do with my spoon? Oh, there it is. Just give it a little bit of a stir. Make a mess. Burn your fingers. I'll just put that there. So you can see that is completely dissolved now.
Stir your milk regularly, scraping at the bottom of the saucepan so that it doesn't catch. You'll know it's boiling when the froth starts to get thicker and rise quite rapidly to the top of the saucepan. As soon as you see this, make sure you take it off the heat or it will boil over quite dramatically. As soon as you take it off, you can see there the foam starts to settle down. Then you can add the splitting agent that's been dissolved and give it a good stir. And now you can see that it is starting to separate out a little bit. Continue stirring until all of the foam has reduced, and you can see now that you've got really good separated curds and whey. You can always add more splitting agent if you need to. To help avoid accidents, you can use a colander for this next part and place the muslin cloth on top of it. I tend to just use the sink to avoid dishes. Similarly to before, bring the edges of the cloth together and start to squeeze. This time you will have to be very careful because it is extremely hot. I tend to use a wooden spoon to help me compress it a little bit. Once you've got most of the whey out of the curds, bring it up onto the sink and continue to press it. At this point, you do need to be quite gentle with it. If you move it around too much and jiggle the curds, you'll break the bonds that are starting to form by the pressure, and your tofu will be quite crumbly. Roll or twist the excess cloth around itself so that you're sealing off the curds and they won't spill out, and find a weight with a flat base and pop it on top. I generally just use the saucepan filled with water. Depending on how firm you want your tofu, it's going to take you about 10 to 20 minutes. So go find something else to do, like painting your paper mache battle map for your role-playing campaign. After about 10 minutes, I'd advise checking your tofu's firmness. So just remove the weight, give it a bit of a prod. If you're happy with how firm it is, then you can keep the weight off and start unwrapping it. Do so with care so you don't crack the tofu, and also because it's still very hot. If you're not using your tofu straight away, you can store it in the fridge, and I find that it lasts a lot longer when it's kept in salty water. Look how soft and juicy it is. Making me hungry just watching this.
Yep, so that's it. Pretty easy. Doesn't take long, tastes amazing, no reason why you shouldn't do it. Give it a crack. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below and I will endeavour to get back to you. Otherwise, if you're one of the lucky people in my life to know me, just ask. Thank you so much. See you later.